This is Megan Peterson, and you're listening to Chasing Dreams with Amy J.
Welcome to Chasing Dreams podcast with Amy J. Amy believes that realizing a life without regrets is achieved by taking chances, chasing your dreams, making moves, and overcoming your doubts. The Chasing Dreams podcast will help you overcome life's obstacles, believe in your potential, and inspire you to face your fears. And now here's the woman who is passionately pursuing her dreams, Amy J.
Hey Dream Chasers, this is Amy J, and you are listening to episode 116 of Chasing Dreams. I have another amazing dream chaser for you guys today. Her name is Megan Peterson. With over 15 years of experience in the addiction field as both a counselor and pharmaceutical representative, Megan knows there could be a better way for patients to get the help. She took action and started Second Chance Counseling Service, providing a cost-effective, discreet solution for patients seeking drug and alcohol addiction therapy. As long as you're willing to put in the work, she believes patients deserve that second, third, 10th, or whatever it is chance. Megan truly believes that telemedicine platform fits with the future of treatment and is here to stay. And she is taking some time out of her busy day to come and talk to us about what she's doing and her story. And I am very grateful for that. Megan, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting to be here. I love what you're doing because I think it's so important for people to chase their dreams, right? Because we all have them, and some people do them and some people don't. So I think this is awesome that you've created this platform around this. It's fantastic.
Well, thank you. I am very impressed by the platform you've created with Second Chance Counseling Service. So before we even talk about that, were you always interested in the medical pharmaceutical field? Is that something you grew up wanting to do?
No,
So
I was, yeah.
What happened there?
Not, no. I was a drug and alcohol counselor for about, I want to say 10 plus years. And it was great. I kind of fell into that job as well. It came very naturally. I really enjoyed what I was doing. And then we had our first child. And I realized that I started to experience a significant amount of burnout in the field, which happens to a lot of therapists, unfortunately. But I had a lot of the more challenging patients. I had a lot of patients that were involved in children use services, so I was dealing with them, and different, interactions that were going on with their children. And I never quite internalized it until I had my own. And then once I had my own, that was a game changer. So I was experiencing a significant amount of burnout. And one of the representatives from the pharmaceutical industry was working with us because at the time we were actually seeing patients that were being maintained on buprenorphine, on the medication that she represented. And she came in one day and she said, you have all this experience with opiate dependent patients and you have like a plethora of years of experience in the field. We're looking to hire. Would you be interested? And, I thought at that point, it's not anything I ever actually looked into. So, and anybody that knows pharmaceuticals too, is that a lot of it is who you know. And it is, I've been in the industry. A lot of it is you need to know someone else in the industry. And that certainly does make it a lot easier. Well, that's just, I guess, in life though, in general as well. And I said, I thought you had to have a master's for that. And she's like, no, you don't. And I was like, oh, sign me up. So it was a job that was very fulfilling in the beginning. And it was very easy as well because, not in the counseling field. Obviously you can't be competitive in the counseling realm. But I am a highly, highly, highly competitive person, and very ambitious. And I believe in like solutions-based things, work smarter, not harder, those types of things. So that job, became kind of easy for me. It wasn't too challenging, but it was rewarding because I was still being able to go out and educate people on, the epidemic of addiction and what to do when you see patients that present to you, with addictive tendencies.
The interesting about what you're doing with Second Chance Counseling, though, and what I said in the intro was you believe that they deserve more than just a second chance, a third,
Oh
a
yeah.
fourth, a 10th, you know, however many.
Yeah,
Do you,
absolutely.
is it safe to say that it doesn't matter how many times it takes, you can't give up?
No, absolutely. It doesn't matter how many times it takes. And I do that too, just in my own, in my everyday life. I've always looked at life kind of that way. In fact, I've gotten burned myself many times. And my mom, even as a kid, she's like, because of course you have like friends that aren't very nice to you or do things that they probably shouldn't. And then you keep going back, right? I'm sure some therapists would like classify me in some kind of category for that. But I do believe in giving people, second, third, fourth chances. Like as long as you're really willing to put in effort, or as long as you're able to come back and say, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, let's work through this. And I will. I absolutely will give you another shot.
So I guess we should make a distinction then, because you said if you're willing to work on it,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
is that a distinction we should be making?
Yes, because it takes work. Like if nothing in life comes for free, and it really doesn't. There's no magic pill. There's no, just say this and everything is going to be, fine and dandy again. It does. Anything worth doing takes hard work, including recovery. And actually, I see that all too often is that people think that they're ready for recovery, and it sounds really good, right? It sounds really good when you hear it. So you think that you want it, but then we start really getting into things and uncovering other things that we need to address. And it's like, oh, you know what? I feel really good, and I don't really want to know if I want to, go into this or do this anymore because, I'm feeling good. So I'm just going to let things be where they are. And then inevitably what ends up happening is, if you don't address some of the reasons that got you into the addiction to begin with, relapse could be right behind that corner.
Yeah, and it's interesting to have to make that distinction, but I mean, you're not really helping if they're not trying. It seems like.
I mean, we can, so define trying though. I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
We had a patient that came to us. He was one of my patients in the very beginning, actually, and he said, "Look, I'm only here because my family's making me. I have no ambition of getting clean. I'm just doing this so that they, get off my back so I can continue to go out and use." And he was expecting me to say, "Oh, that's great. We're not going to treat you then." I was like, "Okay, I can work with that." And he's like, "You can?" And I said, "Yeah, because you're being honest with me. So, you could say that, that's fine, but at least you're giving me something tangible. You're presenting your authentic self. You're being honest. We'll absolutely work with that." Well, 3 months into it, I think it was like the end of the third month, I got a phone call. And the phone call was, "Thank you for hanging in there. I don't want to use anymore. My lifestyle has changed drastically. I've actually gotten to see what it is to be like to not be under the influence. And, I like the way I feel. I like my relationships with my family. I actually have money in my pocket. I can think more clearly." So, he went from a 180 because he was being honest.
That is an amazing way to look at it.
Yeah.
Because there is something about being authentic and the way that you were able to help him, even though he didn't think he was trying to get help.
No, absolutely. And I don't expect anybody to come into therapy with pom-poms on, like, yay, therapy, so excited. Like, that's usually not how it happens. So, we don't expect that. People coming in, they anticipate that they're going to be working with a therapist and they're going to be talking about stuff that they don't really want to talk about, but that's okay. I mean, we've all been down that road. Most therapists have had therapists or, have therapy now or ongoing therapy, obviously, so they don't ever convolute sessions and bring their stuff into other stuff with patients. So, it's not like we haven't done the same types of things. We've been there. We understand, that anxiety that presents and what it looks like for a patient coming into it.
Let me ask you about your role in this, because while you are doing amazing work with second chance counseling services and helping so many people, what is the toll it takes on you mentally, which, I mean, it can't be easy, especially when you're faced with negativity or just pushback that you feel.
Yeah. I mean, this is single-handedly the hardest thing I've ever done. And, the good thing about it is I keep on getting those signs, which I don't necessarily look for, but, they keep on showing up, which I was told by somebody that they will just continue to show up to keep on pushing me through. It's hard. You need to learn how to take time for yourself. I'm lucky enough that, I will push myself to an extent that my body tells me that I need to take a break or, exit our building for a minute and, get some fresh air, maybe go out. My go-to is go out and get a cup of coffee. In fact, I had a mom call me a couple weeks ago regarding a patient because the patient, quote unquote, wasn't, getting therapy and, wanted to know what some of the issues were. And at the end of the conversation, I said, single-handedly, ma'am, I mean, no disrespect, but there is really no reason that your son should not be getting therapy. Like, he already paid for it, number one, so money's out of it. And she's like, well, he owns his own business and he's busy. I said, I own my own business and I take 10 minutes for myself every day, mentally and emotionally, to go out and get a cup of coffee. Starbucks loves me, by the way. I was like, to go out and get a cup of coffee. And if I don't have one of those around, then I'll go someplace else. But I know that I need that for myself. And my husband loves it as well, too, because he works from home. So if I get a coffee, I bring one back for him as well. So, but that's something that's needed. So I'm like, if I'm making that a priority for myself, then why is he not making this a priority for him? So it does take a toll, but it's one of those things where I think if you truly believe in it and you know that you're meant to do it, then you just continue to kind of push forward.
Can I ask you to relate that to someone who's chasing their dream? Because I think, one, absolutely true for anyone in medical field who does that kind of work. That's just emotionally taxing upon you. You got to take a break. You got to find something. For people who chase their dream, who are so focused, do you think it's the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because if you're putting all of your emotion and you're putting like all of yourself into it, you're going to get to a point that your body, emotionally, mentally, physically, is going to be completely drained. So I think it's important to take that time and also know those signs and give yourself permission to give yourself a break. I mean, I'm running 16, 20-hour days right now, and sometimes I will, and I'll say, hey, I need to kind of check out. Like last night, what was it? Spider-Man came out. We have 2 kids. So last night, instead of sitting in front of my computer until 9:30 at night, which typically I will do, is I said, you know what? I'm going to pop popcorn and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch a movie with my kids because I know that I need this time, not only with them, but for myself to just kind of take a mental break. So that's what we did. So I think that it's important to acknowledge those things and give yourself permission to do them.
Do you find that after you do that time with your family, you felt better or re-energized?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, without a doubt. There's not even a question in my mind. Yes.
So what would you recommend someone do? Because there's always walking away from whatever it is you're working on, but is there some general description we can give dream chasers to be like, hey, this is the kind of thing you need to do? Make it work for you, but look for these kinds of signs.
Well, I think you need to listen to your body. When I get to a point, I start to get headaches, or I get really, really tired that, really, really tired and or sore from sitting in the chair all day, right? From on the computer. So you need to listen to the signs that your body is presenting to you. And you need to listen to people that are close to you though as well. I'm lucky enough that I have a fantastic partner, and, she will call me. In fact, she said it the one day, it was funny because I called her in the morning and she's like, yeah, you need a break. And I'm like, I just started. She goes, but I could hear it in your voice. And I'm like, what do you mean you could hear it in my voice? And she's like, I could hear it. I don't hear the pep this morning. I don't hear the spunk. Like, go take a break, go get yourself a really good breakfast, take a hot shower, go for a walk, go do something, but I don't hear it. So you need to walk away. So I think listening to people that care about us as well, because obviously the hardest thing, and this is just for patients, this is for dream chasers, this is for anybody. The hardest thing to recognize is how we feel about ourselves. It's always really easy, even as a therapist, it's really easy to tell someone else or guide someone else on what they're doing wrong and how they need to correct it. but we're always at like our own self detriment because we very rarely ever realize that about ourselves. So it's a self learning, type thing where you need to learn those signs and get to that place where you're giving yourself a break.
And then what do you say to the person that's like, I really got to get this done. I can't take that time.
Well, so I think it depends. If you're, I mean, obviously, if you're on a deadline, meaning you have to, like I did this when I was in college, when you had papers due, you're on a deadline, you have to do, I would say first, don't procrastinate, right? Because you should never be in that time frame where it'd be like, oh, I have to do, because usually if you ever feel that way, your back's against a wall and you should have done it a heck of a lot sooner. So acknowledge that sign first. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking a 5-10 minute break. Having a walk or going out and smelling, the crisp air, especially now that, fall is coming, going for a walk and kind of, regrounding yourself and taking that break, or, showers, baths are wonderful as well to just kind of, take a minute for yourself. I think all of those things would be good. Now, obviously, you can't do that when you're in an office setting. I'm thinking about that. My office is my home, so it's very easy for me to just kind of check out and go take a 10-minute walk or go take a shower or make myself something really good to eat. I'll do that as well. Have kind of like a good healthy snack, but something that makes me feel good as well. So I think it's fine to take that 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You need to take that 5 minutes. Know that if you turn around and walk away, you're not doing it for the rest of the day. Just commit to yourself like, hey, I need 20 minutes. So even set a timer. I set timers for myself. I set timers for my kids. I say, hey, I need to take a break, so I'm going to walk away, and set a timer. That way, that when the timer goes off, okay, I had it. I feel better. Reevaluate, right? Because if you don't reevaluate, you could not still be in a space where you need to go back. So maybe I'm going to give myself permission to take another 5 minutes here because I'm still not where I need to be. So reevaluate and then go back to it.
Do you think that if they keep pushing, sometimes it may not be the best work that they do?
Absolutely. Because if you're pushing through headaches or pains or frustration, or even from a standpoint of fatigue, then yeah, absolutely. No, you're not going to be good to yourself. You're not going to be good to anybody else. You need to take that step away and then come back later.
So you created this platform, Second Chance, and it's about telemedicine, which
yes.
I got to tell you, first time I'm hearing about this.
Really? Gosh, I keep on hearing that, though. It shouldn't be. I mean, if you have kids or family, like I use it for my kids have not seen like a physical. Well, that's not true. They've seen a physical doctor last year when we were home to get some of their vaccines that they had to get. But other than that, like we don't go to a doctor for a cold anymore. We use telemedicine.
Maybe I just didn't know that was the term. What is telemedicine?
So telemedicine is exactly that. It's tele. So it's medicine that's delivered through, either, we're not delivered over the phone, but you could be delivered over the phone, over video, any method that's not necessarily, that's a physical presence. So, I mean, it's been around for years and years now. Hospitals use it. Hospitals been using it for years, doing like consults between physicians, within the hospital and a physician that's a lot. Case in point, my son, we were in Boston and he broke his arm. We went to the local hospital, and local hospital didn't have it wasn't Children's, it wasn't Boston Children's. We ended up going there later, but it wasn't the Children's Hospital. And the doctor that was there obviously doesn't see a whole lot of this. So he telemedicined one of the pediatric doctors that were on call to have him look at the x-ray and give him advice on what needs to be done further, for our son. That's telemedicine.
Okay, so maybe I have done the patient doctor on demand.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what we've used. That's telemedicine. Yeah.
Okay, so what you're doing then is, regardless of your geographical location, you are able to get help through this service, like Second Chance. So
right.
Someone from, and you're on the West Coast, so someone from Kansas or Boston could
Sure.
get help from your company. Is that right?
Yes. So we do teletherapy.
Okay.
So teletherapy is just a little bit different, obviously, because we don't prescribe medicine. It's just all therapy based. So yes, what we do then is we have therapists in all 50 states that are able to service patients within their individual state to, deliver them the therapy that they need. So geographical area, no, it doesn't matter. And by the way, I'm on the Pacific Coast right now, but that's not, we travel for a living. So one of the reasons that I started this company, actually. So we're on the Pacific Coast now, but, come December when it starts getting cooler over here, we'll actually be on the East Coast and be in Florida as well. So we're kind of all over the place.
That's so cool. Well, hold on. Now I got to talk about that for a second. So, because that sounds awesome. Is that something you've always wanted to be able to do?
That was one of the other chasing dreams. If you don't know anything about me, now after this call, you will definitely know that I'm a think, do, getter. And in fact, when I was in pharmaceuticals, that's what they'd always say. So I think it, I'll do it and then I'll get it. So no, it wasn't anything that we ever anticipated that we do. It was kind of a thought that my husband had. I was never camping ever in my life. My husband had this thought like, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if we sold our house and all of our crap and traveled the country with the kids. So at the time, I thought he was crazy. But, within that same space, it was one of those things where, we were working for a house. We were living like most Americans do right now. We were accumulating a lot of crap that we didn't need. But, it's materialistic stuff. It makes you feel good. We weren't spending the quality time that we really needed to with our kids. We were torn on the weekends, bombarded by housework or, yard work and things like that. So we made a cognizant or a cognitive decision to, sell the house and everything in it. And that's when I say I work in my house, because my house is a 42-foot toy hauler on wheels. So like, for instance, our daughter she's still sleeping. She's the one that sleeps in. So she's still, sleeping in the other room, and my husband and son are up watching TV in the other room.
Is this
so
one
yeah,
of those
so
tiny
we travel
homes?
the country. You know what? So we're in 500 square feet. Some of the tiny homes are littler than that. Plus we have slides, because an RV has slides, so it's able to expand out. Tiny houses don't have slides. But I mean, yeah, we're a four family and 4 rabbit now too. 4 family, 4 rabbit in 500 square feet. So
Wow.
yes. Yeah.
That's cool. That's neat.
Yeah, so,
I mean, so when it's cold, you guys move.
yes.
Is
You
that
got it.
is that what we're doing here?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes. Which we were hoping to find like the perfect place to live. And then like after being in it, we realized like the really like only weather perfect place maybe would be San Diego. And like, we're not willing to sell our left kidney to live there. So we're like, the next place would be, we want to settle down as a family. So we were looking at, when we get back to the East Coast, we're going to be looking in Asheville. We loved Asheville. So we're going to be looking there. Still has all 4 seasons, but not as much snow, not as cold as where we came from originally, which was Pennsylvania. So
I'm
we'll
there now. Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pennsylvania native, born and raised right out of Schuylkill County is where I grew up. So that's where we left. We couldn't do the cold after, what was it? After the winter of, we're in 2017, we've been doing it for 2 years. So it was, I think the winter of like 2014.
Oh, that big
2015. One? Yeah. I was like, we're not doing this anymore. No, we're good.
Now, is it that I'm not saying you create a second chance for that purpose, like to get out, but
yeah. No,
you did.
I didn't. No, I actually didn't.
Okay.
No, you're right. I didn't create it because of that. We made the decision to leave, and then I had to leave my job, which again, like really easy job, making a butt ton of money. So it was very, intimidating and scary to be able to leave that position. But at the time I told my husband, I want to do something to give back. Like, I just don't want to sit and not do anything, because this was literally, I've worked all my life. I mean, I've had multiple jobs at different times. I'm not a sitter, I'm a worker. And the thought of not doing anything really scared me. And I think that could be a lot for a lot of people too. Like, people lose their jobs, and a lot of people define themselves based on what they do. So I will tell you, that was a huge challenge for me coming into this, because now I wasn't a worker. I'm a homeschooler, I'm a homemaker. I'm more of a mom type figure. And that was definitely a challenge coming in. So I wanted to do something where I would continue to give back. And it was actually at one of Oprah's seminars that I got the idea to create this company. But I didn't do it right away. I mean, I waited like, gosh, what are we talking about? I saw my own patients from physicians that I had relationships with. But aside of going from that to a national company, I mean, it took me 3 years to actually go all in and recognize and acknowledge the fact that I really did need to do this, because it's scary. It's absolutely scary.
It's scary, but you were brave enough to take the leap.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if you're the first in your field to do this, but it's the first time for you to do this.
Yeah, I am actually. We are the first national substance abuse teletherapy company. Yes, there's one or two other companies out there that do telemedicine. They deliver telemedicine, but they'll deliver it kind of all over the country. And addiction is not their specialty. So we are the first that has coverage in all 50 states to be. So that's scary just in itself, right?
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask. So that's scary. You don't have anything to look or model it after,
right?
Necessarily. What was your approach to this? Like, I mean, I'm sure you weren't thinking we're going to get it right the first time, because if that was the case, you might not have ever started or finished. Were you okay with the fact that mistakes may have happened or would happen?
I guess so. I would say yes, because I know that they've happened. I mean, I know that we've already made mistakes, that we've got, come back and said, you know what, we could have done that a little bit differently. Let's do that a little bit different. I'm also, I'm very open to listening to people though. I tell the therapists that partner with us, I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear what suggestions you have. I want to hear what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly. I want to hear that feedback, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to continue to deliver really good therapy to patients and continue to grow. So it's one of those things where, I have a really great team behind me as well. That's very supportive and opening to listen and give different suggestions. So I don't ever anticipate, I think when you get it right, like, you're done, because I don't think it's ever right. Because if you really want to make it better, you're constantly going to be changing it. You're constantly going to be evolving. You're constantly going to be able to be able to look at different things. So I think being able to acknowledge the fact, like, hey, I could have done things differently. Let's learn from that. Let's not redo it, right? Let's learn from that and let's move on is really important.
Yeah. But now that you're at least 3 years in, how are you feeling now about how everything went?
Well, I'm 3 years into traveling in the RV. I'm a little over a half a year into creating the company nationally.
Wow. Okay.
So we're really new. We're really new. But I mean, I feel like we're in a perfect position, that we're doing everything that we need to right now to open up access for patients, into this space, to be able to give them, the therapy that they need. So I mean, I feel good. It's one of those things where, again, every day you wake up, you constantly kind of take a look at where you're at and where you want to go. And you have those small goals and you have the large goals, and you just keep pushing to attain them and not let some of the other stuff frustrate you or knock you down. It was funny. I don't know. I need to meet Oprah one day. I really do, because she was, I had the thought of creating this company when I was at one of her seminars. And then yesterday, I will tell you, being an entrepreneur, you're never prepared for the highs and lows. No one ever tells you about them. Or if they tell you about them, you don't really realize them until you're in it. And I think that's the same for like a dream catcher, or chaser too, right? Because it's the same concept, because you have those highs and lows that you're like, oh, I really want to do this, but like something kind of throws you a curveball in between. And I literally had I had like 3 or 4 curveballs hit me in one day. And I was like, you know what?
Oh,
I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this. I mean, I was emotionally, physically, I was checking out. And it was funny because obviously we live in an RV, so we never know what kind of cable channels we're going to have until we get to the place that we're at, because, we don't have a dish or anything. We just use the cable, and then obviously, Netflix and things like that for the kids to watch. And I'm up in our room and I'm flipping through the channels, and I got on Oprah's network, and not something that I have to say that I really watch on a regular basis. I don't, but Steve Harvey was on there, again, not somebody that I particularly watch or listen to, but he was on Masterclass. And it was funny because as I turned to it, what was coming out of his mouth at that time was don't ever give up. And he was talking about how many things were thrown at him and how he was ready to give up. And he saw a sign. Somebody kind of threw him a bone to say, hey, I don't want you to give up. You need to keep pushing forward. And one of the things that he talked about was, can you imagine how many other things would be accomplished in this country if people just didn't give up? He said, because you get to a certain point that you're like, you know what, I'm done. And you're ready to walk away. And so many people do that. But imagine if you just hung in there a little bit longer and pushed forward, what type of amazing things you can contribute to this world. And it was like, I was laughing and then crying at the same time. Cause I was like, damn it, Oprah, you did it again. Seriously. So it was exactly, what I needed to hear at that time. And I think so many of us need to hear that too, is like, just don't give up. If you have a dream and you have something that you want to accomplish, surround yourself with positive people that are behind you and supportive and can give you feedback. But, you're going to have those moments where you're like, screw this. You're going to have them probably more often than what you'd like, believe me. But you need to keep fighting through those, because in the end, that you're doing something that's going to create change, and it's going to create, an impact for the world. And that's what you're going towards.
I love that. And you're absolutely right too. Never quit. It's so easy to quit. It's hard to restart.
Yeah. It is easy to quit. But I don't think it would be easy. So, I told you I didn't want to. I didn't want to do this. It's very scary. I knew that I'm putting my family back in a financial situation that, we didn't ever anticipate being in. Selling our house and everything. We were out of debt, which was a exhilarating feeling, by the way. How many people can say that you're debt free? Starting a business, you're not debt free. So, we put ourselves back in this predicament as a family. So I knew going into it that it was going to be really scary. And that's why I didn't pull the trigger. So even for people out there, your listeners, like I know people have these dreams and they have these thoughts and they're just kind of sitting and they're lingering. And for me, I would always get like those whispers, and no, I'm not crazy, although some people may say that I am, but it was like that whisper, like, you need to do this. Why aren't you doing this? Why haven't you created this yet? And I got that for like 3 years. And then finally, God love my husband. I do. My husband is my rock. But it was right before Christmas. We had like what people would define like the come to Jesus moment, where he's like, you know what? I'm tired of hearing about it. Like either, what is that analogy? Either crap or get off the pot, right? That's exactly what he said to me. He's like, I cannot hear about this anymore. Either make a decision or I love you. I do, but shut up about it. And it was right there where I was like, are you behind me? He's like, absolutely I am. And I'm like, what this could be, both good and bad. He goes, I know. He's like, but do you really want to live with this regret for the rest of your life? And I was like, no, because I can't live with regret. I
am cheering your husband
on. So for me, quitting is worse. Like I can't quit, and no
I'm cheering your husband
how
on.
hard it gets.
That's awesome. Hey, it's very rare to have someone who will be real with you like that. And that is awesome that he kind of stood up and said, listen, you want to do this. You've been wanting to either do it or don't. And thankfully you listened to that voice after 3 years. Right.
No, absolutely.
I love it.
I'm very lucky.
I love it.
Yeah, I have a good egg. I'm keeping him for sure.
Now, Megan, before I let you go, I have to ask, what is one action you would recommend to a dream chaser to take today?
Write down your vision. Write down what you want to do, and then just keep coming back and knowing that's your purpose. Because I think having a purpose is really important, so that when you get thrown those curveballs, it doesn't sway you. So, that's one of the things that we do is, I have why I, created this company, and what is my drive. And sometimes you're going to need that reminder of why you did it. Cause it's not easy. It's tough. So I think having that, in front of you, write it down on a whiteboard, write it down on your wall, you can always, repaint over it if it changes. But I think that that's important to always be centered and know the reasons of why you want to do things. What's really driving you.
I love it. Megan, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing not only your story, but the lessons you've learned throughout your dream chase.
Thank you so much for having me.
And guys, that was Megan Peterson. She's doing some amazing things, giving back to the community through Second Chance. So definitely check it out. You can learn more about Megan and Second Chance, and all the links can be found on the show notes page over at chasingdreamshq.com/episode 116. That's episode 116. Until next time, Dream Chasers, keep chasing.
Thank you so much for listening to Chasing Dreams. Amy would love to connect with you and hear all about your pursuit of chasing your dreams. Connect with her on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram via @ChasingDreamsHQ. Or you can find Amy on Twitter @AmyJ21. That's AIMEEJ21. Be sure to visit headquarters over at ChasingDreamsHQ.com for more inspiration, motivation, and resources to help with your own dream chase. We hope you'll join Amy next week, and until then, keep chasing.